I'm going to ask 4 questions, and 3 of them are very short answers for you. So starting at that end this time, do you feel the actual county taxes are too high or could or should be lowered? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Mary Beth? Yes.
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 Thank you.
That was fast.
This is a little bit longer answer. You get 2 minutes each. If you as a county supervisor could lower property taxes, what areas would you reduce, lower, or limit taxes to create this reduction? Please name 1 to 3 programs. I'll start at this end this time.
You bet. Well, there's no if we could or if we would, because we do and we have. This Board of Supervisors has, and this year is included, it's a very small amount, but we have decreased the taxes every year. And Yavapai County is easily one of the most fiscally responsible counties in the state. And we have really managed it very well. So we go across the board. We have a $205 million budget, and it's a major job. We spend a great deal of time working on the budget. We just completed this year's budget. We'll be voting on it coming up here the 1st of August, and it's been quite a task. So it's way too big to sit and say 1 or 2 small items. What we did last year was, on last year's budget, we went to the departments and asked them all to maintain or lower their budget. They followed suit on that. We basically froze a lot of the hiring, and we also removed about 26 vehicles from fleet by streamlining the fleet operation, which was a pretty healthy little hit. So we work across the board. But remember this, you have your primary tax, which is us, then you get into secondary, and the secondary taxes we have no control. So a lot of the increases you see on tax bills comes on the secondary tax, which we have no control. So anyhow, that's basically the whole picture, and it's way too big of a subject to speak of in 2 minutes, much less 15 seconds here. So anyhow, and we're available. Any further information you want to have, we have it all available down there, and all you need to do is get a hold of us and we can give it to you, show you all the details. Our budget book is literally, and Craig will bear me true on this thick. I'm not exaggerating. Thank you.
I'm going to interrupt for 2 seconds. Repeat the question. If you as a county supervisor could lower property taxes, what areas would you reduce, lower, or limit taxes to create this reduction? Please, if you may or can, name 1 to 3 programs. I'm going to ask you to stand up when you respond, because perhaps the people in the back can't see you.
There's another mic there. There's another mic right there.
Oh.
You
Which
can
one?
use
This
that
one?
Yeah.
Is it on? Hello? Okay. I'm gonna sort of have to agree with Rolly here regarding the departments. I know we have a fantastic facilities department, and I would hate to see anything leave there. Public Works, wonderful. But somewhere along the line, and especially if they want to do a 40, if we or they, and if it's really shown necessary to do a $40 million jail, we are going to have to cut certain departments. Right now, I would have to go through each and every department. I would have to look at each and every job, the output, the input, and I hate to say having to cut jobs or to stop jobs. That's the last thing I'd ever want to do. But if certain things are going to be done without raising taxes, property, or sales, some other way to look at it, and that would be a solution, is going to have to be done.
Short announcement. I'm going to ask Linda Morris to walk down the center aisle. She has pieces of paper so that anybody can ask a question. The written questions will be addressed after I get finished with my stuff. Okay, right back, thank you.
Thank you. The board keeps talking about the taxes, and it's the tax rate that has been lowered. We actually have had an increase in the tax levy, which is actually the amount you pay in your property taxes. Even if they don't control it with the library district, you actually will see an increase in your property taxes this year. Just want to clear that up. Marla and I are somewhat at a disadvantage because we don't have really a lot of information to the budgets on the inside things. But I can tell you from talking to people on the street, they have some concerns about the Department of Public Works. I've had a lot of people, and even sitting through the budget hearings, Supervisor Thurman himself seemed to indicate that people aren't really happy with the process there, and I think we can make some improvements there in that department. And I also think with the amount of money that we do spend in the jail and the Department of Corrections, we absolutely can make some improvements there. So that's the two departments I would be looking at for sure.
Taxes. Everybody wants to know about taxes. How many of you actually look at your tax bill every year? Okay, that's great, because you're all Republicans. So, when you look at your tax bill, you look at many things. The very first item on there is the county taxes, how much you're paying to county taxes. Usually that portion of your tax bill is somewhere between 14 and 18%, because I look at it every year to determine how much of that tax is actually going to the county. But it's all the other districts. Look at the college district, schools districts, fire districts, water districts, sewer districts. Those are the things that keep continuing to go up and up and up. Now, it's very true what Mary Beth said. We only set the rate. The actual taxing and value of your property, it's that value, net asset value, NAV, where you get that little card in February, that times the rate determines what your taxes are going to the county. All those other institutions, as Rolly said, secondary taxing groups, districts, whatever they may be called, are the ones that are actually, you'll see, that are slowly climbing because they are also going up. How many people ever go to a fire board meeting? Raise your hand. Oh, well, you go because you're a board member. So, but very few. How many have ever gone to a college board budget meeting? Just a handful at best. So those are the ones where we got to really be paying attention. If it was up to me, I'd be talking to them, not so much the county, because you got to ask yourself, what am I getting in return for my buck?
My third question. This is a long question, so listen. I'll probably repeat it twice or so. The voters of Yavapai County voted against a property tax increase last year for a new jail in the Prescott area. We as taxpayers were inundated with pros and cons. The issues have been studied by professionals to build the jail, and they concluded a new jail should and must be built. Those in opposition felt it either shouldn't be built at all or funded with sales tax. My question to each, your answer to me is, do you want to recondition the old jail? Do you want to maintain the status quo of transferring criminals, or whatever you call them nowadays, across the mountain? Or do you want to build a new jail? And we'll start with Craig.
Okay, we're going down the road? Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I sat through the 2 days of the CHID planning when she did the presentation. Her bottom line is that there's no critical need for beds at this time. That's the one big thing that I took from that presentation. The next big thing I took from it, there are plenty of things we can do right now to even further reduce the census in our jail. And I think what's pretty disconcerting to me is when the jail tax failed almost 2 years ago, we should have been enacting these programs already. And that's a shame. I mean, for example, we don't have ankle monitoring bracelets here in Yavapai County. This isn't cutting edge. It's $15 a day for that versus $100 a day for incarceration. The other thing that she recommended was bond reform. She gave us examples where there were people that could not make $100 bond and sat in jail for 2 months. I mean, we have to take a look at this and see how incredibly ineffective this is. There's a lot of things about the drug treatment diversion programs. We need to do a lot better job about this. There's no need for someone to be sitting in jail if they need drug treatment. I don't know if anybody knows my background. I'm a former assistant prosecutor and an inner city police officer from Philadelphia. I want the bad guys in jail. But if they need treatment for drugs, they don't belong in jail. So that's what I mean about I really want to fully implement all these programs before we even think about building this other jail. Now, as far as doing, rehabbing the jail here in town, she said it was going to cost $12 million. Frankly, I find that a frightening number, that any building that is already in existence is going to cost that much. I know that it's linear design, and I know cutting edge technology. You want a pod design for jails, but it's still, I don't really know that a jail of this age that we really need to close them all together. I think we could get some other estimates and at least look at some other things other than just to take her one estimate for that.
Okay, how many people here believe in the trust the sheriff? Raise your hand. Almost everybody. The sheriff came to the Board of Supervisors and told us he needed a new jail. And that was before this board was even in what do you want to call it? Sitting in our seats. Anyway, so the three-man board that existed previously said to the sheriff, okay, bring us the information we need and we'll start talking about a jail. Because if you remember, 4 years ago, the jail was a subject that we were all talking about. And at the time, they estimated the jail to be somewhere in the vicinity of about $12 million to build a 120-bed jail. At that time, that was 4 years ago. The sheriff then came back to us 2 years ago, came to the Board of Supervisors and said, I need a bigger jail and we need to build it right now because I'm reaching capacity. At the time they were talking $12 million and 120 beds, their capacity was way down. We were way down, and that was during the slump of the 2006-2012 period. So, am I going to trust the sheriff? All I do is manage budgets. I look at dollars and cents. If the sheriff tells me he needs a jail, I have to trust in the sheriff or any department head that comes to me and asks for money that they're telling me the truth. Now, do I take it on its face? No. I look at everything and I have to analyze it and say, are we doing everything, like Mary Beth mentioned, that we possibly can do to alleviate people in the jail that should not be there? But as of yesterday, 549 inmates were in our jail. 29 of them sleeping on the floor. Now, do you think the federal government's going to let that happen for very long? No. Federal government's going to come in and they're going to start telling you what to do, and they're going to tell you, do this, do this, do this, and you're not going to have any chance to argue with them. You're just going to start writing checks. I've seen this happen in Los Angeles.
Okay, so this is a hot topic for me. I actually toured the jail here in town yesterday. And I've also toured the Verde Valley jail. The first question I have is, why didn't we build the jail over in Prescott instead of in the Verde Valley? There was a 148-bed jail in the Verde Valley. If we needed, and that we were so worried about spending $1 to $2 million a year in transportation back and forth from Verde to Prescott, where we have our court system, why didn't we build it over here? Now.
Because the Board of Supervisors wanted it over there.
Okay, well, anyways. Okay, well, since they did, the problem I have kind of goes along with Mary Beth. We've got $40 million. That's a lot, and a lot of money. That more than I'm ever going to see in my lifetime, more than you're going to ever see in your lifetime. Now, visiting the jail yesterday, it needs to be fixed up, but I really do not see, there was only one person in there. I do not see, and when I visited the Verde about 2 weeks ago, there was only approximately 300 and something people, so we got a lot of people in. Now, I don't know if we're still renting out the beds. From what I understood, we were still renting out beds. We're not. Even if we weren't getting full value on the beds. This is something that is really dear to me because we have already said no. And the current board, and this has nothing to do with the service of the sheriff, the deputies, the captains, the lieutenants, the police, the fire department, anything. But what it has everything to do with is the fact that we do not need the jail. There has not been shown an actual reason for that jail. Don't stop.
Okay, let's get a few of the facts straight here, folks. And this is coming right from the sheriff's office here. So we have a 644-bed jail down there. Because of classifications, we can only have right in the neighborhood of about 515. So we lose about 20% because of classification. As of yesterday, we had a population in that jail of 560, that's 560, with 49 people sleeping on the floor. Facts. Also, Chin and Associates recommended that we, at the time they did their report, they suggested a number of things that need and should be done to assist. And at that time, they said they didn't see the immediate need, but they did point out the need was going to be on down the road. It takes 4 years, folks. It takes 4 years. You've got about a year of planning. You've got 18 months plus of construction and everything else. So when the decision is made, or when the decision is made to move forward with the jail, you need to allow yourself 4 years. We are already wasting time as we speak. Now, I want to clear up one other thing. It's not a $40 million jail. The jail that has been proposed is estimated at $23 million, with $17 million going for the Justice Center. So the entire complex is 40, but not just the jail. And then back to the aspect about the recommendations on stuff like a $15 ankle bracelet or whatever. We have already instituted early release programs. We have added personnel to adult probation to help with the program. We just recently voted to give money to the West Yavapai Guidance Clinic for a crisis center to where we can keep from taking people directly to jail when they're in those needs.
Thank you. I have a yes or no question. It's basically the same subject. Since the 2015 election, there has been much discussion regarding utilizing general funding to build a new jail. As a 2017 county supervisor, will you vote to fund a new jail? And if so, when would we see a jail? I guess it's more than a yes or no.
It's more than yes. That's not been decided yet, Jan. We still have to review the different options. We are listening to you. You, the voters, said no to the sales tax. Okay, so we're back at the drawing board, and we've got other options that we have to look at. We just received the Chin report in March, and it's a rather extensive report. So we will be reviewing the Chin report and looking at all options that are available. And we're going to have to do that. Nobody sitting up here can honestly, truthfully, come off with a yes or no answer on that, because it really has to be evaluated. It's a major, major operation. Oops.
More than yes or no?
I forgot my second question.
I'm sorry, I forgot to stand up.
I guess that's because I'm short. Again, I go back to, unfortunately, I would have to say, if we could take it out of the general fund without taxes, maybe I would have to see all of the paperwork. I do know that 2008, 2009, there was a shift of either closing the jail and having it go to the federal, or saving the people, the sheriffs and so on. And they decided to keep, I think it was 17 I think it was 17 sheriffs and officers. I can't say yes, I'd have to see it, Jan,
Okay.
because it's too important.
Thank you.
My answer is definitely no. My biggest concern to the current board is with the Chin report, she made some clear cut reforms that could be done. And I'm asking them, why haven't these reforms been done before? Right now, through this budget process, I just learned the Public Defender's Office is going to start their assessment program right at the point of arrest. This is stuff that's been done before, and it really should have been done a long time ago. I think that the citizens of this county have already put the board on notice. They weren't happy with what their plans were, and we could have been way ahead of the curve here on getting some solutions, and now we're just starting it. So my answer is no.
Again, like what Mary Beth said and Rolly said, it's actually a combination of those two answers. And I would say no, I would not vote for any kind of allocation towards a new jail. If you remember back, I've always made the comment is I like to pay for things as I go. And therefore, I would like us to start a savings program in some manner or form to start moving towards those days when we're going to actually have to come up with the quote 23 million, which by then it won't be 23 million, it'll be 26 million. Right now, what we're doing is we're taking steps. We're moving forward with the different plans that Rolly outlined and with the Chin report suggestions. Right now, Dave Mackey, who's the presiding judge of Superior Court, is working with the justice community, both the county attorney's office, the sheriff, all the other law enforcement agencies, and the public defender to come up with ways to mitigate things. Mental health courts, veterans courts, which I just introduced to them from some readings I was doing last month. So they're looking into that. We're also looking into what other things we can possibly do. But the notion that there's a bunch of people sitting in there for having a marijuana cigarette in our jail is just pure nonsense. And you can look at the sheriff's statistics. In fact, yesterday he told me, if anybody comes up and says that to you, give them my phone number, and I'll tell them what it's all about. Because it's just simply not true.
Thank
But the
you.
answer is no.